Ladies and gentlemen, gather close, and let your spirits sink with the rhythm of an epic tale. Today, we dive into the life of a man whose story isn't just written in history books, it's etched in the very soul of his world, a narrative so powerful it could be the greatest Korean anime never animated. Imagine, if you will, a world teetering on the brink. Monsters from the shadows threaten all of humanity. This is not a world of magic or chosen ones, this is a world where heroes are forged in the fires of sheer will. And in this world, our story begins not with a bang, but with a quiet resolve. Our protagonist, Liu Zhigang, was not born with a golden spoon or a divine destiny. No, he was like the side character in the first episode you barely notice, disciplined, dedicated, but seemingly ordinary. He was a soldier, a man of the Chinese military, but within his heart burned a flame hotter than any dragon's breath, the flame of duty. He trained not for glory, but for the people in the streets, for the laughter of children, for the future itself. This was his training arc, a montage of relentless discipline that honed his body and mind into a single, precise weapon. To truly understand a legend, you cannot start at the summit of his glory. You must journey back to the humble, unassuming beginnings, to the quiet moments where destiny first sharpened its blade. The story of Liu Zhigang, the Unbreakable Spear, does not begin with earth-shattering battles or triumphant fanfares. It begins in the silence of duty, in the unglamorous forge where the raw ore of a boy's spirit was hammered into the unyielding steel of a man. Picture, if you will, the opening sequence of our anime. Not a flashy, high-octane battle, but a slow, poignant pan over a landscape of quiet industry. We see a young man, his frame not yet filled with the formidable power it would one day hold. This is Liu Zhigang, not as the vanguard, but as a cadet. He is not the one drawing everyone's eye in the mess hall, he is the one in the corner, studying military manuals while others relax. His power system wasn't a mysterious energy or a genetic mutation bestowed by fate, it was something far more relatable and, in its own way, far more powerful, relentless, grinding discipline. In the vibrant, often chaotic world of Korean anime and webtoons, we are accustomed to heroes who are plucky underdogs, rebellious talents, or chosen vessels of ancient power. Liu Zhigang defies these tropes. He is the architect of his own destiny. His training arc wasn't a montage set to an inspiring rock song over a few episodes. It was a slow, grueling, and deeply personal saga that formed the entire first season of his life. Each sunrise was not a new day of adventure, but a new repetition of perfection. While potential comrades might have been born with innate talent or a unique affinity for a combat style, Zhigang's only innate gift was his capacity for endurance. Think of the most compelling character development arcs, those that make a hero's eventual triumph feel earned, not given. Zhigang's journey is the epitome of this. He faced his first antagonists not on a battlefield, but within the confines of his own limitations. The aching burn in his muscles after pushing his body past its supposed breaking point was his villain. The dense, complex theories of combat strategy and logistics that he forced his mind to absorb late into the night were his dungeon puzzles. The quiet loneliness of choosing the path of utmost rigor, of foregoing the easy camaraderie of free time, was his emotional trial. This is what makes his origin so profoundly resonant. He speaks to the part of us that knows true strength isn't found, but built. Brick by brick, drop of sweat by drop of sweat. His awakening wasn't a sudden surge of power, it was a quiet, resolute decision made one ordinary evening, a decision that no matter what, he would be ready. He would be the wall that would not crumble. This unwavering sense of duty was his mana, his chakra, his ryutsu. It was an internal, infinitely renewable resource that fueled him long after his physical strength had depleted. The world around him, much like the settings in many epic narratives, was beginning to tremble. Whispers of strange creatures, of breaches in the fabric of their reality, were starting to circulate. Other cadets heard these whispers with fear, with excitement, or with ambition. Zhigang heard them with a different emotion altogether, responsibility. He didn't dream of the fame that came with slaying a monster, he calculated the number of lives that would be saved by stopping one. This shift in perspective is the crucial turning point in his origin story. It's the moment the protagonist's motivation crystallizes from a personal goal into a universal imperative. His superiors saw it, they saw the unshakable calm in his eyes, the way he moved with a purpose that transcended orders. He wasn't just following a career path, he was answering a calling. He was the one who would volunteer for the extra patrol, who would stay behind to clean and maintain equipment long after others had left, who saw the integrity of a single piece of gear as a microcosm of the integrity of the entire defense force. In these small, seemingly insignificant actions, the core of the Unbreakable Spear was being formed. This origin is the bedrock of everything that follows. It explains why, in the face of impossible odds, he never considered retreat. Because retreat was a concept he had trained out of himself years ago. It explains why his will could not be broken by physical torment or psychological warfare. Because he had already broken his own will, shattering its weak, human form and reforging it into something transcendent on 1,000 silent mornings and 1,000 lonely nights. So, when we see the legendary Liu Zhigang, the man who would stand as a vanguard against the tides of darkness, we must not see a figure who appeared fully formed. We must see the ghost of that young cadet standing behind him. We must see the echo of every pre-dawn run, every calloused palm, every sacrificed moment of leisure. His ordinary beginning was the secret ingredient to his extraordinary destiny. It was the forge, the anvil, and the hammer that created not just a soldier, but a sentinel. It was the proof that in a world waiting for a hero, the most dangerous one is the one who simply decides, day after day after day, to become one. If the first act of our hero's tale was the quiet forging of the blade, then the second is the thunderous, relentless ring of that blade being tested in battle. This is the era where the name Liu Zhigang ceased to be just a name and began to transform into a legend, a banner under which hope would rally. This was his crucible, the period of relentless escalation where every threat was a whetstone, sharpening him to a razor's edge. Imagine the Season 2 premiere of our epic. The opening credits roll with a new, more intense theme song. The stakes have been raised. The monster attacks are no longer isolated incidents, they are a coordinated assault, a storm breaking upon the world. And in the heart of this storm stands our hero, no longer a cadet in the background, but a vanguard on the front line. This is where we see the payoff of all those years of silent discipline. While other fighters rely on advanced technology, coordinated squad tactics, or overwhelming firepower, Zhigang's style is a breathtaking spectacle of pure, refined human potential. His combat is a brutal ballet, a form of moving meditation where every block, every parry, every counter-strike is executed with a flawless, almost preternatural economy of motion. He doesn't waste a single breath, a single movement. It's as if he is dancing while everyone else is stumbling. This is his shonen training arc, but it's happening in real time, on the battlefield itself. Each new breed of monster, each new terrifying ability unveiled by the enemy, presents a unique and deadly puzzle. And we, the audience, watch with bated breath as Liu Zhigang solves these puzzles not with brute force alone, but with a terrifyingly adaptive intellect. He learns, he adjusts, he evolves mid-fight. A creature with impenetrable hide, he discovers the microscopic fissure in its armor and strikes with pinpoint precision. An opponent with blinding speed, he anticipates its path, not by being faster, but by being smarter, by understanding the geometry of combat on an instinctual level. Every battle is a chapter in his live fire education, and he is a voracious student. We see the birth of his iconic title, the Unbreakable Spear. It isn't just a name, it's a combat philosophy made manifest. He is not a shield, content to defend. He is the spear, always advancing, always pressing forward, turning defense into a single, seamless motion of devastating offense. His resolve becomes a tangible force, an aura that his comrades can feel, a steadying presence that says, as long as I stand, the line holds. He becomes the anchor point for the entire defense force, the unshakable core around which entire battle strategies are formed. But a true hero's journey is not without its moments of doubt and visceral struggle. We see him pushed to his absolute limits. We witness the grueling exhaustion after a 72-hour continuous defense operation, the way his body screams in protest, the way his mind fogs with fatigue. Yet, this is where his foundational discipline ignites. This is the moment the countless dawns of training pay their ultimate dividend. When others would collapse, he finds a deeper well of strength. He digs into the reservoir of will he spent a lifetime filling, and he stands once more. He becomes a living testament to the power of the human spirit, a pillar that, no matter how hard the wind howls, refuses to crumble. This forging was not done in the comfortable fires of a dojo, but in the hellish crucible of a war for survival, and it created a hero whose legend was written not in ink, but in the grateful sighs of the millions he protected. Every epic narrative builds towards that singular, defining moment, the ultimate confrontation where the fate of worlds hangs in the balance, where the themes of the entire story are forged in fire and resolve. For Liu Zhigang, this was not merely another battle, this was the cataclysm. This was the arrival of an antagonist so vast, so utterly alien in its power, that it seemed less a creature and more a force of nature, a walking apocalypse designed to break the very concept of hope. Imagine the screen fading to black after a devastating cliffhanger. The previous episode ended with the seismic tremor of its approach, a shadow falling across cities, dwarfing mountains. This is the final boss of the series, the being that the entire season has been subtly, ominously foreshadowing. Its entrance shatters the front lines with an indifferent flick of its limb, rendering the military's most powerful weapons as effective as children's toys. The animation for this arc would be a masterpiece of contrast, the sheer, overwhelming, Lovecraftian scale of the beast set against the lone, defiant silhouette of one man. The color palette drains, the soundtrack falls into a deafening, anticipatory silence, broken only by the thunder of the monster's footsteps and the frantic beat of the audience's heart. This is the moment that separates a hero from a legend. Liu Zhigang stands before this impossibility. There is no secret weapon being airdropped in. There is no last-minute cavalry arriving. There is only him, the unbreakable spear, and the weight of every life behind him. This battle is the ultimate expression of his character. He does not fight because he believes he can win, he fights because it is the only thing he can do. It is his duty, his purpose, distilled to its absolute, purest form. The clash is not one of equally matched powers, but of an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object of human will. The ensuing fight is a symphony of destruction and defiance. We see the animators pour their souls into every frame, the breathtaking, acrobatic dodges that are mere millimeters from instant death, the shockwaves that erupt each time his fists meet the creature's armored flesh, the sprays of sparks that look like a shower of dying stars. He is a flicker of lightning against a mountain of darkness. We see him pushed beyond any limit he has ever known. Bones crack, muscles tear, his suit is in tatters, yet his eyes, the animators would focus intensely on his eyes, never lose their focus, their fire. He is using everything he ever learned in all those lonely years of training, every instinct honed on 1,000 battlefields, and he is pushing beyond even that. This is where he transcends. In a breathtaking sequence, perhaps as a flash of light erupts from his battered body, it is not a supernatural energy. It is the visual manifestation of his spirit, his unwavering resolve made momentarily visible, a brilliant, white-hot aura of pure human determination. It is the culmination of his entire life's journey, burning brightest at the edge of oblivion. His final charge is not a scream of rage, but a silent, focused exhale. It is the ultimate thrust of the spear, a strike that carries with it the hopes of all humanity. The impact is not shown in a massive explosion, but in a single, piercing beam of light that finds its mark, followed by an absolute, ringing silence. The beast halts. The battle is over, and standing amidst the settling dust, is the man who refused to break. This was the clash that defined him, the battle that proved that even against the apocalypse, the human spirit, forged in duty and discipline, is the most powerful force in the universe. In the aftermath of the grand, explosive finale, after the dust has settled and the credits of the season have rolled, we often find the most poignant and powerful part of a hero's tale. The legacy. For Liu Zhigang, his greatest impact was not merely in the monsters he felled or the battles he won, but in the indelible mark he left upon the soul of his world. His story did not end with a final blow, it transformed, echoing through the hearts of the next generation and solidifying his role as an eternal, silent guardian. Imagine the final, beautiful episodes of the series. The tone shifts from the frantic intensity of battle to a more somber, reflective, and ultimately hopeful pace. We see scenes of rebuilding, not just of shattered cities, but of shattered spirits. And in every frame, the presence of Liu Zhigang is felt, even if he is not seen. He becomes a symbol, a legend whispered in training academies and painted on memorial walls. His name is no longer just a name, it is a standard, a synonym for unwavering resilience. He is the silent guardian, not because he disappeared, but because his example became a permanent feature of the landscape, a lesson etched into the very consciousness of humanity. This is where his true power is revealed. The power to inspire. We see young cadets, our potential new protagonists for a sequel series, looking at a hologram of his final stand. We see the fire ignite in their eyes. They did not inherit a world free from danger, but they inherited a world that knew it could produce a hero who could stare into the abyss and make it blink. His discipline becomes the new curriculum. His unwavering sense of duty becomes the oath every new recruit aspires to uphold. He created a meta, a new way of being for those who protect and serve. They no longer strive just for strength, but for that profound, unshakable inner fortitude that he embodied. The most powerful scenes in this arc are the quiet ones. A veteran soldier, weary from a long patrol, straightens his back when he passes a statue of Zhigang, remembering what he fights for. A child, playing in the streets, mimics not the flamboyant moves of other fighters, but the calm, ready stance of the Unbreakable Spear. His legacy is not in the grand speeches he might have given, but in these silent, everyday moments of emulation and remembrance. He proved that a hero does not need to be a king or a commander, he can be a soldier who simply never, ever gave up, and in doing so, he gave everyone else permission to be stronger. His story becomes a foundational myth for a new age. It answers the question, what can one person do? With a resounding, thunderous answer, everything. He leaves behind a world that is safer, yes, but more importantly, he leaves behind a world that is braver. The shadow of the colossal threat he faced no longer looms with terror, but stands as a monument to what was overcome. The legacy of Liu Zhigang is the light that guides the way forward, a constant, quiet reminder that within the heart of the most ordinary individual lies the potential for the most extraordinary courage. He became the shield that remained long after the battle was over, protecting not with his body, but with his story.